Yeah, yeah. Ball so hard, you better believe me, it's scary. It's basketball at the bar with Calvin and Barry. So put a tip in the jar, cause these dudes can really fill it up. Whether it's buckets you need or just a beer in a cup. We're here for fresh conversations and some delicious libations. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. My boys got you covered like you being guarded by Peyton. From the glove to the claw and everyone else in between. Calvin and Barry got everything that you need. So sit back, relax, because we're starting the show. It's basketball at the bar. Grab your drinks and let's go. Yeah. Grab a drink and let's go. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification. Calvin and Barry. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification. Let's get it.
What up, ballers? Welcome to Basketball at the Bar. Join us live every weekday for the best NBA podcast here on YouTube, where the takes are hot and the drinks are cold. There's no dress code, and you can take us wherever you go. So pull up a stool, drop a like, and don't forget to subscribe. This is Basketball at the Bar. Grab your drinks, and let's go. Calvin, we don't have any drinks yet for the draft party, but I need to put some on ice so that we will be ready to go. Welcome in, everybody. Happy Tuesday. It is May 17th, NBA Draft Lottery Day, and a big day for the Sacramento Kings. So we're rocking it here. Happy Tuesday, Calvin. How's your day so far?
Happy Draft Lottery Day. It's good so far.
Yeah.
More NBA basketball to talk about. I can't complain.
There you go. Just ordered some food, so we got some snacks coming.
Some food, yeah.
Also exciting. Welcome in. What's up, Steven? Good to see you here. Yes, we are going to work on a way for you to either call in or join the show in the future. Just trying to figure out what is the best way to do that and what fits best with our format here. So we appreciate the patience. Yes, it will happen. We have a full show for you guys today. First off, we're going to start off with injury updates. We're going to talk about a couple different articles on NBA.com about the remaining 4 teams in this year's NBA playoffs. We're going to give a quick little preview on today's game. We're going to talk about that series and the other series in the West here. We're going to break down Calvin and I's predictions for conference finals MVPs. We're going to talk about the Hornets' second interview with a coaching candidate, Pat Beverly, the Chris Paul, the James Harden situation. We're going to talk real quick about the draft lottery before we end the show, as always, with Q&A. And then we'll be hopping over to Royal Rebounds at 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to have a little draft lottery party. Calvin's going to be DJing. We're going to be having a fun time and watching what unfolds here.
Yeah, an exciting day for not much actual action to talk about. We got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of rumors, a lot of Pat Beverly is saying all sorts of things on Get Up and First Take. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. It's fun.
He's trying to be he's trying to figure out what his career is going to be after basketball. You can already see he's starting to plant the seeds. What's up, Key Kings? Good to see you here. Hopefully you are excited for today, because I know we are, and I got a pretty good feeling. Also want to remind you all, if you have not entered in the contest to win the Davion Mitchell autographed basketball being given away by the Sacramento Kings, make sure you go to their website, enter in that contest. I think the deadline here is in like an hour or so. All you have to do is put in your information and select which pick you think the Kings will get today in the draft lottery to be eligible to win. So hopefully you have done that. If you have not already, go over there, obviously in another window, so that you could still hear us, and fill that out. All right, Calvin, let's jump here into the show today. So first topic, let's talk about injury updates. Marcus Smart, I think, is our only guy on this list right now. Still don't have any updates on Kyle Lowry and how long or how short the Miami Heat's injury report is for this game.
So it's long.
Let's get an update on Marcus Smart.
Well, not really much of an update here either. He's still questionable for Game 1. Ime Udoka says that he's still experiencing a bit of soreness in that foot that he sprained in Game 7. So he's going to be a game-time decision. They haven't really announced whether or not he's going to be available yet. I'm sure that announcement will come on very soon while we're on the air here. And I mean, it goes without saying that the Celtics need him out there.
Yeah. Yeah, Steven, the Kings need to go after DeAndre Ayton and see if they can make something happen. I don't know if I'd touch Chris Paul. Love to have his leadership on the team. I definitely think he could help them get to the playoffs, but he costs a lot of money. But I'm all in for DeAndre Ayton if it's possible.
No more point guards in Sacramento.
Yeah.
Let's just stay away from point guards.
We were just looking at a mock draft, and Calvin's like, oh, they got Kings drafting another point guard here. And I'm like, oh, my God. Also, real quick, I know we were going to announce on the other show, but do you want to talk about the news in Sacramento revolving the younger Ronadive?
Yeah, Twitter is blowing up on my phone today because Vivek's daughter, do you know how her name is pronounced?
I call her Nani.
Okay, Nani Ronadive. It was announced earlier that she is going to be basically the assistant GM for the Stockton Kings.
Not assistant to the GM.
No. Well, I don't. People are saying that is her title, but I don't know if that's actually the title she was given.
Yeah.
The report by Sam Amick just says that she will report directly to the Stockton Kings GM. So she maybe is kind of the assistant to the assistant or something like that. Basically, she was just given this position kind of out of thin air.
Is this a genie
because
bus?
She wants to pursue her dreams,
Is
which,
this,
of course, we all support that. But
yeah. Is this a genie bus similar situation?
Perhaps. I think by the time Jeannie Buss really got into the organization and actually had a role within the Lakers, she had already been putting in a lot more work.
Yeah.
Maybe
Dated Dennis Rodman, dated Phil Jackson.
I think she. Well, I don't know. I can't really speak for Nani, so I'm not gonna go down that road. But from what I see on her Instagram and everything that she does in life, this seems like a kind of out of nowhere decision.
Yeah.
I think Jeannie Buss wanted that her whole life.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's pretty clear that she has a lot of interests outside of basketball.
Yeah.
I know she has helped the Kings over the years with was it like community relations, community
I think
perception.
she's been involved in a lot
like
of different areas of the organization over the years. But
yeah. Was also an integral part in Vivek's coaching career. I believe she was the star player on her team that he coached with the pick or with the cherry picking technique.
Yeah, we don't need to spend too much time on this topic. It's difficult though because you can see this from both sides, right? Like, I'm really happy for somebody that gets an opportunity like that, especially if it's something that they're really passionate about. But there's a lot of people that probably got passed over in this decision.
There's definitely some ties to the ownership group for her, which, I wish the best. Hopefully she can figure it out. Hopefully she does a great job. And we'll revisit that when we have more information. All right, next topic of the day, Calvin. This is an interesting one. I read this article today on NBA.com, and it was titled, "One Word to Describe Each NBA Team Remaining in the Playoffs." Obviously, there's only 4 teams left. It's hard to describe a team with one word, or at least some teams are hard to describe with one word. If I were to describe the Sacramento Kings with one word, it'd probably be sucks. And
futile.
It's unfortunate to say that because I really do want them to do better, but they have not done well. So the 4 teams left, we have the Celtics, the Heat, the Warriors, the Mavericks. Celtics. I know you've already looked at the list here.
I have.
But I was going to ask you, if you could describe the Celtics in one word, what would it be?
Well, the word in the article is defensive, and that's probably the first thing that comes to mind when I think of this team. They're the best team defense in the league. They have the defensive player of the year on their team.
Yep.
They've really showcased all of that defensive prowess in the postseason, stopping guys like Kevin Durant. Giannis, they didn't necessarily stop him, but they definitely made him work for everything, and they stopped everybody else. So, that probably would have been the first word that came to my mind.
Yeah, I agree with it. Defensive-minded, defensive-oriented, like you mentioned. There's a bunch of defensive players on this team. They're kind of a grit grind, slow the game down, be physical, make it muddy. A lot of different words you could describe this team with, but I think defensive is a good word.
I agree.
Moving on, next up is the Miami Heat. Celtics and the Heat do play today after the draft lottery, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. It is an exciting game. Now we only have one game per day, Calvin, so I can't be like, what game are you looking forward to most today? Maybe it's this week. But the word they use to describe the Miami Heat is deep. It's an interesting word. I partially agree with it. What are your thoughts?
Well, I definitely agree with it. They're a very deep team.
Yeah.
They've had that on showcased the whole year. I think the first word that would come to mind for me is tough. When I look at this team, Bam, PJ Tucker, Jimmy Butler, even Oladipo, the resiliency to come back from all those injuries, they're just a tough group to me.
Sorry. Steven, I think the Big Three is kind of like an NBA backyard basketball tournament to me. I don't know if a lot of those...
not entertaining enough.
I just don't know if a lot of these players want to do it. I'd love to watch it. Whatever you can do, throw NBA players out there, I'd love to do it or love to watch it. But these guys are always worried about injuries now and what they do in the offseason.
Well, a lot of these guys play in summer leagues anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, they're basically just pickup games. But I wish they would just sign a TV deal for that and televise those.
Didn't we see that like 2 years ago or something? There was like a bunch of pickup games going on.
Yeah.
I don't
think they were televised. I
Yeah.
mean, stuff leaks on the internet and you see clips of it on Twitter and whatever. But let's
Space Jam?
let's make those
when they're
viewable.
When they're prepping for Space Jam, I heard those were some great pickup games. But yeah, I think that would be cool. I enjoyed actually watching the first couple seasons of the Big Three, but then I kind of got over it. But back to the Miami Heat here. Deep, could refer to a couple things. It could be they shoot from deep. They have a lot of good three-point shooters on their team. It could mean they're deep in terms of like depth because there's a lot of good players on this team coming off the bench. But I side with you. I'd rather go. I think if I were to choose a word to describe this Heat team, it's going to be physical because that's, I think, exactly what they are. They can do so many different things because their lineup is so versatile. They even have Defensive Player of the Year candidates on their team as well. But the big difference for me with this Heat team and any other team is they are the most physical team, and they'll beat you down if they can. So I agree with deep, but I'd probably go with physical if it was up to me. What about you?
Tough.
Tough
is my word. Yeah.
Okay.
Very similar.
Yeah. The third team on this list is the Golden State Warriors. Interesting word or choice of words here to use.
Yeah.
They use the word transitory. We've been hearing that over the past year in terms of inflation, meaning that it will go away soon or it's just temporary. In this article, they used the word transitory to mean the Warriors are competing for a title and rebuilding for the future at the same time. They've been reluctant to, quote unquote, like chip up some of these younger assets to get more win now ready players. They still have James Wiseman on this team, Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga. They've continued to add young talent during this stretch of losses and non-playoff appearances. What do you think about this word? Is there a better word, or what are your thoughts?
I mean, when you hear the explanation of why they use the word, it makes sense, right? It's not the first word that I would use. My word would probably be dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a team that, has been at the top of the mountain for so long, and then they were just gone for a couple of years, and now all of a sudden they're back with a vengeance. Mm-hmm. They're a very dangerous team. They've got the most experience by far out of any team left.
Yep.
Of these four, and they're right on the doorstep of being the king of the mountain again. They're very dangerous.
Yeah, I think if I were to choose a word, it would probably be experienced, because you're right. They are the most experienced team here that's left. They have rings. There are just, a few people on some of these other rosters that have a championship ring. I know, you got Haslam on the Heat. Can't think of anybody on the Mavericks with a ring. Can't think of anybody on the Celtics with a ring.
Besides Jason Kidd.
Yeah, that's true. So I would definitely go with experienced or maybe veteran. But yeah, transitory is an interesting way to describe them because they're right. They do have a lot of young talent and a lot of old talent. There's not really many guys in the middle. Maybe you could say Andrew Wiggins is one of those guys that's kind of like the bridge that bridges the gap. But yeah, I think experienced would be a better word here.
I like that.
And dangerous, I'm okay with dangerous as well. Next up, we have the Dallas Mavericks. Chill is the word. Nobody picked this team to make it past the first round except for Mike. You and I were basically counting them out at every stage, and they don't care. They just keep competing. I saw a quote from Luka Doncic today saying that, everyone acts tough when they're up in a playoff series. We don't care. We're just going to keep playing hard. So I think chill is a great word to describe the Dallas Mavericks.
I disagree. I don't think there's anything chill about this team.
Really?
No. First of all, Luka plays with an intense amount of swagger. He complains all the time. They're anything but chill to me, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like I disagree with that word completely.
I think I'm more referring to it as like they don't panic under pressure.
Well, yeah, I mean
the walls are falling down,
every team
and they're
that makes
just
it
chilling.
this far is under pressure and has to perform under pressure. Like
you have a better
you don't
word.
Make it this far.
You have a better word for them.
I would probably use the word swagger. Because look, Luka is this team, right? And that to me is one of the biggest, adjectives or descriptory words that I could use to surround him. So I would say they've got a serious swagger about them. That's the reason they made it this far. Everyone counted them out.
Yeah.
They're the, it's them against the world, and they kind of relish in that.
I could see that
spotlight.
I could see that. I'd also go with the word free roll because at this point they're playing with house money, right? Yeah. No one expected them to go this far. I think no matter what happens, everyone's going to say the Dallas Mavericks season was a success this year, right? Maybe if you're Luka Doncic, you're like, nope, I want a championship, right, or it's not successful. But everybody else, including the guy that really matters in Mark Cuban, is probably like, this season was a success.
Yeah.
First year they've won a playoff series in 11 years. So, yeah, I understand chill. I understand where you're coming from. It's hard to describe this Mavericks team because, they're just a surprise. Maybe that's a better word, surprise. I don't know.
Yeah.
Luka being hurt forced Dinwiddie and Brunson to become better, and it made the team better overall when Luka was out. Yeah, I think that kind of goes to what Calvin was talking about yesterday with the Phoenix Suns, right? Is like they didn't have much adversity during the season to help them propel themselves to another level. The Dallas Mavericks had a ton of adversity, especially in the first round, playing without their best player, being down 0-2, being on the verge of elimination. They keep coming back.
They do.
One word.
They're like COVID-19.
Yeah, right. Kings, one word, sad. Yeah.
Yep. There are a lot of words that you could use to describe the Kings, and probably none of them are good.
I mean, I could think of a good word, hope, right?
Is that a good word, though?
Yeah, because I'm hopeful today. Like they said earlier.
Yeah, if you're hopeful all the time, though, is that really a good thing?
They said earlier today is the chance for one or more teams to change their future.
Yep.
They're giving away today basically
that
most.
That goes both ways. Change your future
true.
In a good way or in a bad way.
That's true. Well, they're already bad, so there's only one way to go. But, like literally the most valuable asset in the NBA is the first overall pick, right? Like you could argue, oh, LeBron James or Luka or one of these guys, but when it all boils down, the number one overall pick is the best asset you can get in the NBA. One of those teams is going to get it today. Maybe it's the Kings, maybe not, but we could see one of these teams that's on the bottom skyrocket up next year or have the assets to make a big trade this offseason to bring in more talent. So today is definitely an exciting day. All right, Calvin, I want to talk a little bit more about the NBA draft lottery later on the show. But before we do that, let's give a little preview of today's game. Boston at Miami. It's game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Miami's favored by 2 in this game. This game's basically going to kick off or tip off right after the draft lottery concludes. So far, Marcus Smart, day to day, haven't upgraded his status. Miami Heat, you got Kyle Lowry out, Caleb Martin day to day, Gabe Vincent day to day, Max Struss day to day, PJ Tucker day to day.
All those guys are playing.
Thoughts on the game?
Except Kyle Lowry, of course. My thoughts on the game, look, this series is very evenly matched. These teams kind of operate in very similar ways. I think it's going to be a long series. I'm predicting 7 games. I keep going back and forth on who I think will win this series. Part of me is like, I can't pick against Boston anymore. They've made me look like a fool twice now. But I really love this Miami Heat team at the same time. So I'll just break it down to this one game. It really depends a lot on if Marcus Smart plays and how healthy he is out there. He is such an important part of what this team does, and I think it becomes even more important against a team like Miami. Miami is a great defensive team, great perimeter defensive team. Marcus Smart kind of keeps things moving for Boston offensively. Remember back to game 1 of that Brooklyn series where Jason Tatum makes that great cut at the end of the game, gets past Kevin Durant for that spin layup to win the game. Yep. Who's the guy that found him? Marcus Smart.
Yep.
And they said that they had this, eye contact before Jason Tatum made that cut. They've got a great feel for each other. Smart also shot almost 40% from 3 this year. In a series like this where points are going to be at a premium, outside shooting, floor spacing is going to be incredibly important. And the Heat have more outside shooters than the Celtics do, or at least better percentage-wise. So he's incredibly important. And if he doesn't go today, or if he tries to go and re-aggravates his injury and can't play that much or can't play that well, I'm picking Miami to win this game.
Yeah. I do think Miami will win this game at home. I've been saying all year, all postseason, I think Miami's going to the finals. We will see what happens here. If I'm Boston, I'm going to try and do everything I can to steal either this game or game 2 in Miami. You mentioned the first round against Brooklyn. That first game was so important because it really brought the Nets back down to earth, right? The Nets were about to get this win. It was going to be an upset, and that play killed them. And I think that carried momentum into the rest of the series. They end up getting swept in that. I think Miami needs to win game 1 and game 2. I think they will. But if I'm Boston, that's what I'm looking to try and attack. Try and keep these games close, be physical, try and be more physical than the Heat, make it a one-possession game, and see if I can steal one of these games in Miami.
Yeah, I agree with that totally. This series is just really interesting to me because the individual defensive matchups, Miami has shown in both previous series that they're capable of throwing a lot of different bodies at your best player, right? We saw it with Trae Young. They switched all the screens. He had to go against PJ Tucker, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo. And they can do that same thing here to Jason Tatum. And then on the other side, who is Tatum going to guard primarily? If Marcus Smart is going to be out there, does he get Jimmy Butler for most of the time? Tyler Hero, to me, is one of the keys to this series because you've got all these great players and different defensive matchups. Of course, Boston is going to put a good defender on him. But he is the guy that if he can get going, he's definitely shot the ball a lot worse so far in the postseason than he did in the regular season. If he gets going, Miami is all of a sudden a very, very different team, an even better team, and that could really swing the series.
Yeah, I agree. I think Miami could definitely shoot the Celtics out of the gym in at least one of these games because they have so much potential. Like we said, deep, right? It could be multiple things, either deep in the bench or they like to shoot it from deep. And they have a ton of three-point shooters on this team. If they can go on a run here and start making some shots, I wouldn't be surprised to see a game where they shoot 40% or more from three-point range and they beat Boston by 10 to 15 points.
Yeah.
The over-under on this game is 203.5.
It's so low.
That's a low-scoring game.
I mean, it's gonna be a low-scoring series, I think, overall. But man, that's low.
Are you taking the over or the under on that?
Yeah, I told Ethan last night to take the over.
Okay.
I just feel like it's so low.
So Boston and Miami played 3 times this season already. The first game was November 4th. Boston wins that game 95-78. Jimmy Butler leads all scorers with 20 points. Jaylen Brown had 17 in that game. Then they played again on January 31st. Boston wins that game 122-92. That's your over there. Jaylen Brown, 29 points for him. And Matt Struss, 27. And then they played a third time on March 30th where Miami wins 106-98. 24 points for Jimmy Butler, 28 for Jaylen Brown. Also hits the over. So this team definitely has some history throughout this season. Boston's won 2 out of the 3 games. I'm not sure if that gives them an edge or not. Any thoughts on that?
No, I don't think that those regular season games really matter much at this point.
And every single road team won during those 3 games this season.
Yeah.
But we know the playoffs
It's different now. Eastern Conference Finals.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a totally different atmosphere here.
Playoffs are a much different atmosphere. Boston is averaging 111.8 games or points per game, where Miami is averaging 110 points per game. Like I said, these regular season numbers change when you reach the playoffs. But I think I agree with you, Calvin. I think I'd go the over on this game. I'm thinking realistically it's going to be maybe
probably not too much over, but
maybe 210, maybe 215, something like that. I'm picking Miami to win this game.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
All right, next up. That's the only game we have today, guys, after the lottery. But I just real quick want to give a little preview of Wednesday's game. We'll talk a little bit more in depth tomorrow on this. But Dallas at Golden State, Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals is tomorrow, May 18th. Calvin, just kind of brief thoughts on this Dallas versus Golden State series.
Well, we kind of talked about it yesterday, but to me, the Mavericks have had an incredible run here. I think the Warriors, because they already play small, that they're going to have an easier time dealing with Dallas than Phoenix did or Utah did. The style of ball that they play, the way they share it, I think they can really wear down your defense over the course of a 24-second shot clock, and you multiply that, X number of possessions throughout a game. And I think this is just the time for Steph and Klay to shine. I really do.
Exactly.
I believe Steph, everyone's talking about Luka right now, and deservedly so. He's been incredible. But I think this is the moment when Steph reminds everybody that he's the greatest shooter of all time. He's one of the greatest players, has one of the greatest postseason resumes in NBA history, and this is where the run comes to an end for Dallas. It's been a great run, but I like the Warriors in this series, assuming that they can take care of their turnover issue.
If the Mavs win this series, are you doing another shot for Mike?
Yes, I will, Mike.
How did that go yesterday? Did you enjoy the rest of your day after that?
I was definitely feeling it a little bit.
Okay.
Right, for the remainder of the show anyway. I don't know if anybody could tell, but
Good times here at Basketball at the Bar. Stuff happens. Shit happens.
shit happens.
I'm looking at the same exact thing you're looking for, Calvin. I'm looking for Steph Curry and Klay Thompson to shoot extremely well in this game. If they don't, I think the Mavs could win game one. If I had to choose a team, I'm probably going to take Golden State for game one. But as I mentioned on the show
Warriors
yesterday,
in 6.
I'm rocking with the Mavs now. I think I'm picking the Mavs to go to the finals, and I think they'll win in 6 or 7 games. I don't know exactly. I need to see how tomorrow's game kind of goes. But I think if Steph shoots amazing, Warriors win game one. If he doesn't shoot well, Mavs win game one.
The key to this series is Andrew Wiggins. Wiggins is probably going to get most of the defensive assignment on Luka. He's played really, really well defensively. I know Luka nobody can really stop him right now.
Mm-hmm.
But offensively, when Andrew Wiggins plays well, the Warriors win.
Yep.
17 points seems to be the marker. He scored 17 3 times in 3 wins in that previous series for Golden State against Memphis, 18 in the 4th win. So if he can get himself going, knock down a couple outside shots early, and he becomes another scoring threat, that just opens the floor up so much more for this team, which is loaded with shooters. So if he gets going offensively, the Warriors have a great chance to win the game and win the series.
Jason Kidd, we've praised him this season about, the adjustments he's made, the improvements he's made as far as like coaching a team and making, in-series, in-game adjustments, stuff like that. All-time great point guard, Hall of Famer. Last time he played with the Mavs, they won the title. What kind of adjustments or tips or things do you think he's doing to kind of game plan for a guy like Steph Curry?
Man, that's a really tough question. I mean, I don't know what you do necessarily to game plan for a guy like Steph Curry. Great players, I think the game plan is basically just we got to make it as difficult as possible. Physicality, I think, is one of the things that people try to go at Steph with. Double teams. It's just so hard when you play against the Warriors because they share the ball so well. They have so many shooting options on the court usually at the same time. And they're extremely unselfish. So you can't just say, well, every time Steph gets the ball, we're going to double him. That doesn't work against this team.
Yeah.
So I think you just have to continue to be physical with him. You have to go at him defensively. Jalen Brunson is a really good post guard. I don't know who exactly is going to be guarding him for most of this series. If it is Steph, I would like to see Dallas try to get him matched up with Curry in the post maybe. He can use his body, be a little physical with him. Every blow, that you take kind of adds up over the course of a series, right? So that's kind of the very basic way I would attack this game. But great players like that, there's no like, oh, we're going to take his left hand away or we're going to, force him to only shoot from this side of the court. That stuff doesn't work against a guy like Steph Curry.
You're right. Do you think they'll do anything similar like they did in the series before, as in targeting Chris Paul, try and get him in foul trouble like with Curry, try and go after him, try and put pressure on him on the defensive end of the floor?
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe he gets in foul trouble. Maybe he just gets exhausted by trying to chase somebody around.
That has
the whole
been
game.
what teams have tried to do to Steph Curry for years, as they've made their run deep through the playoffs over and over and over again. And I give Curry a lot of credit because he's gotten better over time. Yep. He's not the best defender in the league, but he has definitely improved that aspect. We saw Ja Morant struggle at times to get shots off on him. So he is a much, much improved in that area. But definitely, if you're looking at on offense, where is the spot you want to go? Maybe now you can say Klay because he's still recovering from the injuries and, maybe his lateral quickness isn't quite what it used to be. And I don't know who they're going to have Klay guard most of the time either. But definitely you start with Steph Curry going at him on defense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all you can do here. Draymond Green, we've known this guy to be a very, very fiery competitor, has had words with players, coaches, referees, all this stuff. You're starting to see similar things from guys like Luka Doncic, got into it with somebody in the crowd. When we were talking about one word, you were talking about how this guy's, got a little bit of an attitude or a swagger to him. Do you see him getting into it with Draymond Green? Maybe a Doncic, Draymond Green altercation, maybe some technicals, maybe a guy getting suspended for a game?
Forget Draymond Green. I think it's the whole team.
Okay.
Luka doesn't back down from anyone, and I think he you've heard him say it. He kind of welcomes all the talk, the trash talk, all that stuff. It gets him fired up.
Yeah.
And he's quick to respond to it. He has always been that way. I mean, you got to think, this dude's been playing professional basketball since he was, 13? 14? Nothing's going to scare him. He's been in every situation that you could possibly be in. So, yeah, I could definitely see either Draymond or somebody else getting into it with him and it becoming, an ongoing thing in this series.
I hope so. It definitely brings some excitement here. I want to give a shout out to Irene Supreme, new sub. Welcome.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome to Basketball at the
Thanks
Bar.
for
We're
being
here
here.
every single weekday talking basketball, having a great time. Please, interact, ask some questions. Welcome in. What's up, Gotham? Good to see you here. Techno Peasant, Progressive G, good to see you. Phoenix brought up some breaking news here, Calvin.
Yeah.
Al Horford is out for Game 1 due to health and safety protocols.
That's huge.
As you mentioned, COVID-19 just keeps coming back.
Yeah.
And Marcus Smart is officially out for this game as well. Does that change your prediction?
Well, I was already predicting Miami to win.
Okay.
So, no, it doesn't change. It strengthens my prediction.
Yeah, I think Miami's definitely going to win this game. That's really tough for them because, the COVID thing or health and safety protocols is like, what is going on here? How many games is he out for? We don't know. Is Steve Kerr back yet? We don't know what's going on with him.
He is back. He cleared protocol.
Okay.
He rejoined the team.
And then, as a player, when you get back, are you able to run and do the things that you normally could do? How long does it take you really to get back? So, unfortunate news for them. Big blow to the Celtics.
Very big.
Big blow to the Celtics.
Very big. Do we know, is Robert Williams must be playing then?
What's up, Ivan? Good to see you here. Rooting for the Mavs and the Heat. I am as well. I think the Heat are going to win the title this year, guys. I really do. I really do. Okay, Calvin, we're moving on here. I'm going to let you continue to look that up about Robert Williams.
He's not on the injury report, so I would assume that he's going to play.
He's got to play good. He's got to play good for them. Next up, this year they are introducing some new conference finalists MVP awards. Kind of weird concept. One is named after Larry Bird and one is named after Magic Johnson for the East and West Coast. I kind of like that idea because I think there should be something to honor those two guys that have helped elevate basketball or NBA basketball, to get to this point, or at least gave it a running start for guys like Kobe, LeBron, Shaq, all those guys to kind of take over and run with it. Before I ask you what your predictions are, I just want to hear your overall thoughts on these awards or participation trophies, whatever you want to call them.
Well, first of all, I agree with you. I do think that it's cool to see the NBA honor people like Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, and Kobe Bryant and all of this. Like that's a good thing for the league overall. These individual trophies themselves, however, in my mind, are participation awards.
Yeah.
I think that I won't use the word nonsense, but it just seems like a whole lot of nothing to me. Like yeah, if I was a player that won that award, that's great and everything. I'd feel really good, but I'd probably never look at that trophy again, especially if I lost in the finals. Like, that's what it's all about. I want the Larry O'Brien trophy. I want the finals MVP trophy. Conference finals MVP is a great, boost or whatever to your ego, but it means nothing at the end of the day.
Yeah. Real quick, I want everyone that's watching right now to please hit that like button. It really helps us out a lot. It helps other people see this video. We greatly appreciate it. If you would, go ahead and smash that like button.
You know what conference finals MVP makes me think of?
What?
If you ain't first, you're last.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I don't want to be too negative here because I think it is similar to a participation award or trophy. However, I would potentially be open to 2 MVP awards during the regular season. One for East, one for West, just like they do in baseball. You and I have talked last week, I think the week before even, about how the MVP award should be given out basically on the last day of the regular season, or maybe like before the final start. Maybe they could give it away during the no stats, whatever weird time it is during the play-in tournament.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea of maybe having a Larry Bird and a Magic Johnson MVP award that they give out at the end of the regular season. One for each conference might be kind of cool. And then maybe you have the finals MVP as the best player in the finals. Shouldn't necessarily go to the winning team, but it should go to the best player. I'd be open to something like that. But like Steven says, there's too many trophies here, and it does water down the product. Play-in tournament MVP is next.
Oh, it's coming. Don't worry. Then mid-season tournament MVP.
Oh,
is
there's
coming
already
after
All-Star
that.
Game MVP.
Yep.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy. Well, since we don't really have a choice here, Calvin, and they're giving out the awards anyways, I want to know what your predictions are for Eastern and Western Conference MVP awards.
Man, this is still tough because in my head I haven't even decided who's going to win this Miami and Boston series yet. But
The Horford news doesn't help you?
well, no, I mean, Marcus Smart is more important, I think, for this series than Al Horford is. That's not to put down what Al Horford has done in the postseason. He's been amazing for them, absolutely amazing. But my gut shot answer to this question is Jason Tatum for the East and Steph Curry for the West.
Okay.
Although I could see there being a scenario in the West kind of like when LeBron should have won Finals MVP, but they lost the series.
Luka Doncic.
So I could see a scenario where Luka deserves the Western Conference Finals MVP, but they lose the series.
I'm going to say Jimmy Butler, Luka Doncic. Part of me wants to say Bam Adebayo, but I think he's going to have a really tough go against Robert Williams. So
I view it as the other way around.
Okay.
I think Robert Williams is going to he's going to be in a world of hurt in this series, especially if he doesn't have Al Horford next to him or to give him a breather. I think Bam has a big-time series.
Okay. So that's making me question myself again here, but I'm just going to go with Jimmy Butler, Luka Doncic. I think those two guys will, or at least deserve, to win the awards. We'll see what actually happens here. That's wild. Yeah, preseason MVP, Royal Rebounds MVP, most improved player between the first and the second rounds. Like they're getting crazy here with all these different awards. Most overrated player, and wants to give it to Kevin Durant. I don't think I agree
James
with you,
Harden?
Steven, but is that your pick?
What about James Harden?
Most overrated player?
I don't know. I'd have to think more about that, but I definitely would put James Harden ahead of Kevin Durant right now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very tough question. Westbrook. James Harden's definitely up there on my list, and that's just because we expect so much from him, and he hasn't really done that much recently. What have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
Kind of attitude.
Well, but that's the thing, too. It's like James Harden, his regular season numbers are pretty good.
Yeah.
Right? Like we heard Pat Beverly saying, you're not going to give a guy who averages 22, 10, and 8 a max contract. Yeah, I mean, there's some sense. That makes some sense when you think about it. But then You look at what have you done for me lately? What did you do in the postseason?
Yep.
2 field goal attempts in an elimination game
And that's what we brought you
in
here
the
for.
second half.
Yep.
When your best player is hurt and can't be his normal self.
Yep.
That's when you prove that you're worth $60 million at age 37.
All right, on that subject, let's talk about it. So Pat Bev has been all over the media the past couple days, taking shots at Chris Paul, defending James Harden, and just getting into it with everybody. He's not a big fan of Chris Paul.
No, he's not a big fan of a lot of people.
He said he's a great player and all this stuff. He just says that nobody's afraid of him and the Suns. Mm-hmm. He was talking about how, and these guys actually played together with the Clippers, right?
Yeah.
So they do know each other very well. But he was talking about how, if Chris Paul gets shoved or whatever happens, nobody on the Suns comes to back him up. He's like, if I'm shoved on the Timberwolves, everyone's right there. If I was shoved on the Clippers, everyone's right there. Why is nobody standing up for Chris Paul on the Suns? Not sure if I really agree with that or if I know there's an answer or not, but it is a hot take on Chris Paul. He was also arguing and saying that James Harden deserves the Supermax contract.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're friends from whatever happened in Houston. What are your thoughts on this situation? Pat Beverly is campaigning for James Harden and hating on everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little strange. I don't know. He clearly doesn't like Chris Paul. I don't know what happened to those two or what words were exchanged. I mean, you can go all the way back to when Beverly was playing with the Clippers and he shoves Chris Paul to the ground.
Yeah.
They clearly don't like each other. But
Pat Beverly, for me, is like a guy that likes to call out people that are like fake tough. Like maybe he feels like Chris Paul is fake tough.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you're tough? I'll show you what tough is.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Pat Beverly to me he's a guy that just says things to say things.
Great analyst.
Yeah. And it's funny because like the things that he says, if you just were to look at the sentence by itself and not pay attention to context, you'd be like, oh yeah, like that makes sense. I mean, what did he say about the Grizzlies? Ja Morant didn't score whatever it was, 45 or whatever, have a triple-double on us. And when you just read that sentence, you're like, yes, that's true, but you guys lost to them, and they then lost to the Warriors. So what does that really mean? So, yeah, he's a troll, like everybody is saying here in the comments. And when it comes to James Harden, I would not offer him a Supermax contract. I think you have to look at this from the organizational standpoint. What's best for the franchise? How do we keep this team together and being competitive for a long time? If you have a guy that's 37 years old who just played the way he did down the stretch in the playoffs, making $60 million, that's ridiculous.
That's crazy.
And you won't be able to complete your roster at that point. You won't be able to fill out your roster with players that make your team competitive.
This is such a tough question because, I mean, if I were just to like step back and say, is James Harden worth a Supermax contract? I would say no. But it's a lot more complex than that, right? Because you traded a bunch of guys and a bunch of picks and assets to get this guy. Joel Embiid is the guy that you really need to impress and make happy because he's pretty much what you have here on the Sixers. So if I'm the GM of the Sixers, I'm sitting down with Joel Embiid and I'm being like, okay, Embiid, you're my guy. You're here. I want you to be here for a long time. I want this team to win a championship, all this. I want to surround you with players. We made this move to bring in a guy like James Harden because I thought he was going to be James Harden. He's looking a little different now. Here's our options. We let him go. We stick with what we got. And we try and bring in another player. Or do you want me to try and handicap our franchise and bring this guy in? And if you guys can't work it out, we got nobody else. That needs to be a conversation that has to happen. And if I'm Daryl Morey, Joel Embiid's got to be 100% on board in agreement with any moves that I make this offseason.
Totally. I agree with that 100%.
Because, players are empowered in today's NBA, and that is the franchise. Joel Embiid, he is the franchise. As much as you want James Harden to be the second best player, the best player, the third best player, whatever it is, Joel Embiid is the franchise. You need to appease him. And who knows, maybe James Harden comes back completely refreshed next season and is himself again. It's a gamble, and your franchise player has to take that gamble with you.
It's a big, big gamble.
Bigger troll, Pat Beverly or Draymond Green?
Oh, it's Pat Beverly.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
A troll is somebody that doesn't back it up.
Really? Okay.
Draymond Green, his resume is 10 times more accomplished than Pat Beverly's.
I think they're about the same troll-wise, in my opinion. They both go on national TV and just talk. They both flipped off the crowd. They've both been involved with dirty plays. Yes, yeah. Draymond played on a much better team. Yes, he's a much better player.
Much more accomplished player.
And he's won
more.
Not
just the team.
But that has nothing to do with being a troll, in my mind.
That's true. That's true. A troll to me is somebody that both of them always talk.
Yeah.
But a troll is somebody that you dismiss because you're like, well, that guy just talks. He doesn't actually do anything.
Okay.
Draymond talks all the time, but they win. And he wins individually.
Yeah.
Defensive Player of the Year, All-Star. I mean, he's got everything that Patrick Beverly wants. But Patrick Beverly won't get.
He's on a much better team.
He is on a better team, but he's also, like you said, a better player.
Yeah.
And Patrick Beverly, like the two guys, if I'm playing against those two guys, Patrick Beverly is the guy that I could care less what he says to me. Draymond Green's a guy that would actually get under my skin.
Okay.
Because I'm worried that Draymond Green might actually get the better of that matchup for me.
I read this comment as Dre has a higher barbecue IQ. And,
he might.
I love that. That's how it should be. He does have a higher basketball IQ. And I think Dre provides some actual analysis. Yes, I do.
He's very smart.
Yeah. But I think both of those guys are pretty smart. But I think they're both trolls. And Draymond Green is the guy that you love if you – I think they're both in the same boat. You love them if you're on their team. You hate them if they're not on your team.
I don't know.
I mean, how many times does Steven Adams have to get kicked in the nuts by Draymond Green for people to not like him?
I think that's a separate issue. I don't know.
Oh, that's funny. Should the Kings get James Harden? Hell no. Hell no. We don't need another guy that's going to handicap our franchise and basically do whatever they want. That's not what we need. All right, moving on here, Calvin. One more topic to cover before we jump into a quick draft lottery preview, and I want to remind you all in about 30 minutes we are going to be going live on our other channel, Royal Rebounds, with a draft lottery party. So make sure you guys join us for that. All right, Calvin. So the Hornets announced today that they are having a second interview with Golden State Warriors assistant coach Kenny Atkinson. Good move for the Hornets?
I think it is. I love Kenny Atkinson as a coach. I wish the Kings would have interviewed him.
Why do you think Mike Brown was taking over as interim instead of Kenny Atkinson? Just because he's been there longer?
That's a good question. I'm not really sure how to answer that. Certainly, the tenure with the organization, Steve Kerr, I think, probably has more of a relationship with him. I won't say it's a better relationship, but he's just got more years of experience working with him. And Mike Brown's, like you said, been with the organization longer. So, yeah, that probably checks out in my book.
Yeah, good look for the Hornets. I love Kenny Atkinson a lot. I think he would have been a great option for the Sacramento Kings. But whatever discussions they had, it didn't work out. He seems to be interested in this Hornets job, going back
Could
for
be
a
the
second
best thing
interview.
to happen to LaMelo Ball too.
Yeah.
I mean, we've heard a lot of players in the league talk about how Kenny Atkinson helped, propel their careers and improve them as
D'Angelo
players.
Russell.
D'Angelo Russell is one of them.
Yep.
So yeah, I think it would be a very solid pick.
Yeah, I agree. Good luck, Hornets fans. Hopefully you guys get your guy, and then the process really starts. But so far, good move by them. All right, we'll jump into a couple questions here real quick, Calvin, before we do the draft lottery. People are still talking about Draymond Green here. Have the Kings had any player like that in the recent past? I would say Ron Artest, Meta World Peace, Matt Barnes.
Is a good one, Matt Barnes.
Couple players like that. No one to the degree, though, of a Draymond Green. The thing about Ron Artest,
Cousins,
Cousins,
kind of, in a way. Like,
the thing about Ron Artest for me is, like, nobody's afraid of Draymond Green in real life. Maybe they're afraid of him on the basketball court, but I think we all agree that Draymond is a reasonable person. I don't know if you can say
differently,
but I don't know if you could say the same thing about a guy like Ron Artest, right? Like, people are legitimately afraid of Ron Artest in real life.
Yeah.
Not just because the malice at the palace and all that, but because the dude is a little crazy. Mm-hmm. And if something were to go down or happen, in my mind, I'm like, Draymond Green might be thinking about the bigger picture. Maybe. Ron Artest is not thinking about the bigger picture at all. And that's not a diss on Ron Artest, because I love Ron Artest. But he is the guy that I would be the most afraid of.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely be afraid of Ron Artest. But going back to, so as you know, I spent a lot of time in Michigan.
Yep.
I've heard plenty of stories from people that went to Michigan State, saw Draymond Green out at a bar. This is even post his playing career at Michigan State, after he was in the pros. Came back, he's hanging out at bars in East Lansing, and people would try to approach him, and he would basically say, I'm going to fuck you up if you come over here, sort of a thing. Again, these are all stories, but I don't think Draymond is
Calvin,
exactly the most approachable person.
Yeah. He just seems a little bit more down to earth, which is wild that I even say that about him, but a little bit more down to earth than a guy like Ron Artest. Progressive G says, I think the fact that Draymond is a much more notable player and he's had a bigger platform makes him the bigger troll. Remember you started the super team comment after winning the finals? Yeah, I mean, they're all big trolls, but I think Draymond is definitely up at the top of that list.
I think
do we need
Patrick
to look up
Beverly's
the definition?
Twitter account
Do we
says
need to look
otherwise.
up the definition of a troll? Because I think you and I have different definitions.
We might.
Scott Pollard comes to mind. Yeah, Scott Pollard. Definitely a fun guy. You could even throw, I guess, if you want to, some other Kings in that list. I remember a certain uppercut from a guy like Doug Christie.
Yeah, but Doug didn't really run his mouth.
Yeah.
He
seems capable. All right, moving on here. Let's talk about the NBA draft lottery, guys. It's starting here in about 30 minutes. I just want to go down over the odds here at the number one pick. So give me 1 second here. All right, so Houston, Orlando, and Detroit own the top 3 spots in the lottery. They have a 14% chance of getting the number 1 overall pick. Oklahoma City has a few picks in this year's draft, including number 4 and number 12 in the lottery. That gives them a combined 12.5% chance that either of those picks will become the number 1 overall pick in this year's draft. Next up, Indiana, 10.5% chance at the number 1 overall pick. Portland, 9% chance. Sacramento, 7.5% chance. Then you got New Orleans with the pick they received from the Lakers in the Anthony Davis trade, has a 6% chance of moving up to the number 1 spot. 4.5% for San Antonio, 3% for Washington, 2% for New York. The Oklahoma City Thunder, I already spoke about them and their 2 picks. Next up, Charlotte, 1%, and Cleveland, Calvin. Cleveland has a 0.5% chance of winning the draft lottery. In my mind, I look at this list, I'm like, Cleveland has the best chance of winning the number 1 overall pick.
Only if, what is his name? Do we know Dan Gilbert's son's name?
Oh, I can't remember his name. But
Only if
anyways,
he's going to be there.
Cleveland just continues to win the draft lottery. Pretty interesting. You know, looking here at the Kings, they're slotted at pick number 7 right now, 30-52 on the season. I mentioned 7.5% chance of the number 1 overall pick and a 32% chance at moving into the top 4. That's pretty good, Calvin. That's, a third.
Yeah, there's a chance.
There is a chance. If I were
It's
just
not guaranteed.
to ask you, who you think will win the top 3 picks in the draft? I know it's a shot in the dark.
It is totally a shot in the dark.
But who are you feeling? Who would you put your money on? Who would you tell Ethan to put his money on?
I would tell Ethan, if you're betting on this, then God help you.
I think the Kings are winning pick number 3. I don't know why. That's what I put on my form. For some reason, I'm just feeling number 3. I'm keeping an eye on Orlando for pick number 1. I don't know why. Maybe I want them. Maybe this is my list, is where I want teams to pick. I think Orlando's got a good shot at number 1. 14% chance. It's not an overall favorite or anything. They're tied with 2 other teams, but I got a good feeling about Orlando. I got a good feeling about Sacramento. Who's going to get the number 2 pick? I got to say Oklahoma City, just because they got a couple options, a couple shots at it. Not financial advice. Please do not bet on these unless you really want to.
It's like you're trying to pick the winning lottery ticket. Right now,
yeah,
you know?
that's exactly what it is. It's a bunch of ping pong balls going around, and I think Gotham says we're getting number 2. That would be nice.
Yeah, you know what that means.
But last time we had number 2, didn't work out so well. So I'm happy with winning the lottery, 1, 2, 3, any of those picks. I'm even cool with them staying at 7. I just don't want them to move down. And if they move down, that would be, New Orleans winning into the top 3, San Antonio, Washington, New York, Charlotte, or Cleveland. Any of those teams, or if all 3 of them magically leapfrog Sacramento, that puts Sacramento down in the 10th spot, which is not good.
No, especially in this draft, you don't want to fall out of the top 10 for sure. That would be very, very bad.
Yeah, and I don't think. Let's see here. Actually, I want to just look here at the mock draft real quick. According to Tankathon, you guys know my favorite website. They have the Rockets winning the number 1 pick. They have Chet Holmgren going number 1 overall. They have the Magic at number 2, Jabari Smith, and Paulo Banchero from Duke going number 3 to the Detroit Pistons. Jaden Ivey going number 4. Then they got Sheldon Sharp, number 5, Keegan Murray, number 6, A.J. Griffin to the Kings at number 7. Calvin, who's your favorite player in this year's draft? Do you think there's a consensus number 1 overall pick? And who do you think will ultimately be the best player coming out of this draft?
Oh, wow. That's a tough one. Well, first of all, consensus number 1 pick, to me, it seems pretty easy. It's Chet Holmgren. I think he has the highest ceiling probably of any player in this draft. His size and skill set is so incredibly unique, and the fact that there isn't really a tomorrow franchise-changing player available in this draft makes it pretty clear-cut to me that whoever ends up with the number 1 pick will probably end up taking Holmgren. My favorite player in this draft, that's tough. I like a lot of different guys. I don't think it is as easy of a decision for me this year as it was last year. I was just such a big Jonathan Kuminga fan. I think that it was a slam dunk the Warriors taking him. Perfect situation for him to go to. In a couple of years, that guy's going to be like only 21 or 22 years old, and we're going to be talking about how he could be one of the best players in the NBA soon after that. I really like Jaden Ivey a lot. I like a lot of what he brings to the table. I love two-way players. He's maybe the best athlete in this draft as well. Everybody's got, some concerning red flags around them, but I think, especially from Sacramento's standpoint, if they end up in the top 4, Jaden Ivey would be a fantastic pick.
Yeah.
To groom him for your starting shooting guard, we talked all offseason so far about how the Kings need to improve power forward, shooting guard, maybe small forward, if Harrison Barnes is going to be moved or a plan for the future at that position. But if you could end up with Jaden Ivey, that would be, in my mind, one of the best possible scenarios that the Kings could have in this draft.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at all 4 of these top picks. Jabari Smith, Banchero, Ivy, Holmgren. I think every single one of these players could have a big impact on the Sacramento Kings, and on any team for that matter. I'm really looking at this top 4 as the guys that are or potentially are franchise changers, and then I think it drops off pretty steep after that. There are some other guys that I do like in the draft. You mentioned, Ben Mathurin, guys like that, AJ Griffin, Keegan Murray. But I'm really looking at this top 4 as guys that are going to change the direction of your franchise. And as it's set right now, Houston, Orlando, Detroit, and Oklahoma City, they all need franchise-changing players at this point. So we'll see if they end up with the top 4 picks, or if a team like Sacramento, a team like Portland, a team like New York could jump ahead here and snag one of these guys. It will be a really, really interesting draft lottery here. Please, guys, make sure you join us for that. We're going to be starting that in about 20 minutes live on Royal Rebounds, not on this channel, but if you go to the homepage for this channel and you scroll down to the bottom, it'll say Kings Content and have a link to our other channel, Royal Rebounds. Real quick, Calvin, I think we need to just go through Q&A here, answer a couple questions, and then get ready for the draft lottery. So if you guys have any questions, let us know in the chat. Also, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and share this video with all your basketball friends. Calvin and I just do this here for fun. We're not professionals. We're just fans, just like you. We enjoy basketball. We love talking about basketball. We love building this community and interacting with you all. And we're here every single weekday just having fun. So we really appreciate all your support. All right, I'm going to see if there's any questions here that I missed earlier, Calvin. Oh, Techno Peasant says, I think we need to differentiate trolls versus trash talkers versus enforcers. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, I don't really know the difference between a troll and a trash talker. Do you know?
Not off the top of my head. I think there's some blurred lines, but...
Because I think what you were saying earlier was trolls can't back it up. Trash talkers maybe can. Because Jordan, great trash talker.
To me, a trash talker does it to your face. A troll does it to you on social media.
So Patrick Beverley's both.
Yeah.
Draymond Green's both.
Yeah.
Okay. Kevin Durant, troll.
By that definition, yes.
Okay. That's interesting. We're trying to learn things here. We're trying to figure things out. It's an ever evolving world in the basketball community. Calvin and I have been watching basketball for over 20 years, and just looking at like the way the game is officiated now, and fouls and non-fouls and technicals and all this, combined with the style of play is different. Players are empowered, the things they can say, getting into it with fans, like so many things have changed. I think Techno Pizzin agrees with you. Shaden Sharp has looked very good in his workouts in front of team scouts. What could his ceiling be?
He has a very high ceiling. Very, very high ceiling. Again, incredible athlete. he could end up being a better player than Jaden Ivey for sure. And I never, going back to your question about the fit for Ivey with the Kings, I don't believe that that he is a bad fit. I think what I was saying is that all these guys have question marks about them. For Jaden Ivey, it's overall shooting and turnovers. He turned the ball over a lot in college. But if he's playing off the ball next to a guy like De'Aaron Fox, he's a really great slasher, gets to the rim very easily. Shaedon Sharpe, again, has all the athleticism, all the tools, but I'm a little concerned by what happened to him over the past year. He didn't play at all this season at Kentucky. He's left the door open numerous times about maybe returning to college. Potential is there for sure, but if I had to pick between him and Ivey, I would pick Jaden Ivey because I got to see him do it against some of the best competition in the country. The Big Ten was arguably the best conference in America last year, and he did it night in and night out. So that's the only way I would differentiate or draw the line between the two of them.
Yeah, what's up, CG? Good to see you here. Welcome in. Welcome in. We are just going over Q&A here before we end the stream, and we're going to be jumping over to our other channel, Royal Rebounds. It's a Sacramento Kings channel where we're going to be covering the draft lottery. Regarding those two guards, we talked about the Kings' biggest needs this offseason after hiring a coach, shooting guard, power forward. There's two teams ahead of the Kings right now that currently need shooting guards, and that's the Portland Trail Blazers and the Indiana Pacers.
There's more than that. Detroit needs a shooting guard.
Yeah. I think the Kings are going to have to leapfrog one of those two teams if they're going to snag one of these top shooting guards, because I see a lot of the bigs going early in this draft, and then, there's going to be 2, 3, 4 teams fighting over 2, 3 top shooting guards. Yeah. So Kings need to get a big win today, Calvin. Biggest win of the season could come today. All right, guys. Anything else you want to mention, Calvin, before we wrap up the show?
Whatever you got to do to get ready, lucky socks,
rabbit's foot,
rally cap, whatever it is, get it going.
Yes.
It's lottery time.
It is lottery time, guys. Thank you so much for joining us here on another podcast, Basketball at the Bar. It's Tuesday. We'll be back Wednesday. If you guys aren't tired of us already this morning, or if you are a Kings fan, you want to join us, like I said, just go to the channel, scroll down to the bottom. There is the Royal Rebounds channel link there. We will be live in about 15 minutes going over the entire draft lottery, what we think on some of these picks, where they might go, stuff like that. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. We'll see you guys all in about 15 minutes. And as always, don't forget to tip your bartender.